Watch this.
Another potential state law being directed at the state's largest city. It was a jam-packed room where people weighed in on where our homeless community can and can't sleep. Public property may soon not be an option.
All I hope is this brings change, just positive change.
The decision to get rid of an "All are welcome here" poster has gotten a lot of attention for Idaho's largest school district. And the decision for the teacher to refuse, well, that's garnered a lot more support and shirts. Spring skiing brings on a whole different meaning this week in Sun Valley. Some of the biggest names in downhill racing bring their talents to Baldy. We're going to give you a little sneak peek of the peak events. It was a Boise case in 2018 that prompted courts to decriminalize homelessness. Martin v. Boise challenged Boise's anti-camping ordinance, and the Ninth Circuit Court agreed, calling it cruel and unusual punishment, a violation of the Eighth Amendment. Then last summer, in a separate case out of Oregon, U.S. Supreme Court overturned Martin v. Boise, saying cities can impose rules against camping on public property. Boise's mayor, Lauren McLean, promised that ruling would not change how the city handles its homeless population. But a bill making its way through the State House right now just might, and it puts Boise at the center of another homeless situation. Senate Bill 1141 would ban camping in public spaces in Idaho cities with a population over 100,000. Aspen Shumpert found out there was opposition inside and outside the Capitol.
Thank you so much.
A place to sleep should not be a crime. Supporters of that standing on the Capitol steps slipped white gloves on their right hands as a symbol of solidarity and support for the unhoused community. They gathered Thursday while lawmakers prepared to consider legislation that could reshape how Idaho handles homelessness.
Someone who has nowhere else to go. They may have tried to go to a shelter that was full. They may not qualify for a shelter. Doing well?
Yeah.
You look well.
Leonard Peoples knows what it's like to be without a permanent place to live. He spent several years in shelters and on the street.
Putting a ban on us is going to enable more people to end up down there in poverty. And we need help. And we need help not to be hindered, not to be shut down and put away.
Inside, the committee hearing room was full.
Thank you, committee. Good morning. My name
Senator
is
Cody Galloway presented Senate Bill 1141, which would prohibit camping in public spaces in cities with populations over 100,000 people.
It does not look like the camping you imagine in a campground or in the mountains. This kind of public camping on our roads, sidewalks, and parks is dirty, dangerous, and even deadly.
The bill defines public camping as the unauthorized lodging or residing in a temporary or outdoor habitation. The cities who fail to enforce the ban, they could face civil penalties, up to $10,000 per violation. The bill's broad language and lack of clarity worries Representative Todd Achilles.
Do you have a sense of what a prolonged amount of time really is? I mean, I'm just looking for some objective definition because I think your definition is probably different from mine.
Representative Brooke Green says this proposal is the opposite of progress.
Passing laws such as this is not compassion. These people need other resources, and time again, we are constantly passing laws that restrict access to these resources.
Reverend Bill Roscoe runs the Boise Rescue Mission and has a different perspective.
If you look at the living conditions and you look at the situation there, it is unhealthy from A to Z. And leaving people in that situation, not encouraging or inspiring them to seek help and to recover from homelessness, to me is not really compassionate.
The solution wouldn't be to walk by and ignore the person that's there, but rather to help that person get into a facility.
Morgan Bernal, who works directly with homeless families, pleaded for committee members to consider the most vulnerable.
These parents are doing their best to protect their children, and we cannot help them if they are too afraid to tell anyone that they do not have shelter.
After almost 2 hours of debate,
motion carries 13-2.
Jody Peterson with Interfaith Sanctuary, a Boise nonprofit and shelter here, says if both bills pass that are going through the legislature right now, it could be a problem for the cities. There's an additional bill going through the Idaho legislature right now that would also prohibit homeless shelters from being built within 300 feet of residences. She says if you go with both of these bills, one that doesn't allow them to be on the street and one that doesn't allow for new shelters to be built, there's going to be a problem with the unhoused community having nowhere to go.
Yeah, I was kind of echoing what Representative Green said. I was just looking through the list of laws or bills out there that might actually help homeless people at this point. I mean, these are two that would just say, here's what you can't do.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Aspen. The homeless advocates weren't the only ones descending on the Capitol today. Idahoans frustrated and angry over the Governor Little signing the Medicaid bill yesterday they said as much from the State House steps. They're frustrated and they're angry. That quick action has critics calling out the governor for not giving people the time to speak out against these restrictions. Supporters say this is about saving Idaho money and improving accountability. Well, those who gathered today call those just catchy talking points. Here's Joe Paris.
A rallying chant in the shadow of the state capitol.
We know the power of Medicaid.
Response to a new law just signed into Idaho code about 24 hours ago. New restrictions on Medicaid and expansion.
It's going to be a massive drain on county resources.
Critics like Ralph Blount don't buy what supporters of the new restrictions label it as, a cost-saving measure to the state of Idaho. Action now to prevent a runaway budget item in the future that could compromise state programs across the board.
They are making tax cuts for billionaires, and they're doing it at the expense of regular working people. There's no justification for what they're doing.
The law, formerly known as House Bill 345, makes a collection of changes to administrative rules and program management, while also adding in Medicaid expansion limitations.
Especially the work requirements.
Dallas Chase has called Idaho home for decades.
Oh, I've written letters, and I can't understand, Governor Little, why you did this. I truly can't.
Dallas comes with practical concerns about costs that the new restrictions come with, namely emergency care.
They're going to be thousands of dollars of treatment. They aren't going to be able to pay for it. It's going to have to be written off.
Governor Little commented on his signature that made the legislation law. The governor writing in part, I am pleased House Bill 345 improves the Medicaid program without rejecting the will of the voters.
Governor Little is an incredible coward for signing that bill prior to hearing from people today.
Idahoans on the steps feel they're being ignored.
We don't care about you. Pure and simple, they don't. It's all about saving, the idea of the perception of saving taxpayer dollars, but they're giving it away with the other hand.
We know that inside the State House, however, that there is celebration amongst Republican lawmakers who see this latest Medicaid law as a success. And Brian, we followed this throughout the process here on the 208. A previous version, this session of the Medicaid restrictions, would have actually seen Medicaid expansion basically repealed if it didn't meet a large list of items. So there is some, I guess, middle ground there in terms of the critics that say at least it wasn't that. Still, though, saying it could always be worse is something that critics of the latest Medicaid bill say it's not a great way to live your life.
Inside the State House, what are the chances either lawmakers or even the governor heard this protest outside today?
Lawmakers possibly could have heard it. I know that they were wrapping up their session, but we know that Governor Brad Little was actually in Washington, D.C. today with President Donald Trump. They were celebrating what is effectively
the dissolution of the Department of Education.
Dismantling of the Department of Education.
Gotcha.
We're going to find out how Idaho education leaders feel about that.
All right, thanks, Joe.
One sign comes down, tens of thousands go up, not only in Boise, but all over the country. What a powerful message to send.
When Sarah Inama refused to remove an inclusive poster from her classroom last month, it sparked a sort of revolution. Sarah teaches 6th grade world civilizations at Lewis and Clark Middle School. Back in February, she was asked by her principal to take down these two signs. One, describing how her students will be viewed in the classroom: welcome, important, accepted, respected, encouraged, valued, and equal. The other saying everyone is welcome here, showing hands of various skin tones. Well, when Sarah pushed back on that, she says she was told it violates district policy because in this political climate, not everyone believes that message. Sarah stood her ground and kept the poster in her classroom because, as she says, it's the foundation of public education. Everyone is welcome here, and it's just the right thing to do. Since then, she has had countless people stand up for her. Students protesting on her behalf, celebrities celebrating her courage, her story going around the world. Well, nowhere is the solidarity for Sarah and her message more evident than at a small family-owned T-shirt shop in East Boise. It's Thursday.
Yes, sir.
At Brigade Screen Printing in Boise.
So we're busy on a normal basis.
But this Thursday is not a normal one.
We're never this busy. This is a whole nother level.
For the past week and a half.
What, are we on 8 days now? 9 days?
Sean Wright and his staff have been handling a special order.
This is the only thing I've seen like this with this amount of support.
Shortly after 6th grade teacher Sarah Inama was told by the West Ada School District to take down her classroom sign that said, "Everyone is welcome here," and she refused, Brigade's one-room shop has been continuous chaos.
It's a good chaos, and I'm glad that it blew up and got this message out there to more people than we expected.
For that, you can thank Sean's friend, Chris Stewart.
Was not expecting this response at all.
Who saw Sarah's story and came up with the idea.
Chris called me
to make the message mobile.
Hey man, you know why I'm calling, and I'm like, what do you need? What do you need? How can I help you?
So Sean shared the story with his staff, most of which are moms with kids in the West Ada School District.
And within 5 minutes, I had a bunch of moms in tears going, whatever we got to do.
Yep, when Sean sat us down, there was no question. Then I was like, yep, let's go for it.
And so I called him back and I said, let's go.
And they've been going and going since.
I think yesterday, before 4 o'clock, my phone said I had 14,000 steps in.
Sean says most days this is a 7 to 5 gig.
And with what's going on right now, I mean, we've been here 4 a.m. till 10 p.m., 11 p.m. each night trying to keep up with all this.
To keep up with all of this, they've also had to rely on help.
I am a volunteer.
Doreen Gardner saw Sarah's story too.
It was quite moving and just didn't make any sense to me, and that's not the Idaho I know.
Which is why she felt the need to be part of it.
If this is a small part of what we can do to help and make a change and make things better, I'm all for it.
That feeling is shared by everyone in here.
I think it's ridiculous to be upset about a sign that says everyone is welcome here. Turn it into a political message when it's not.
You know, I just think it's awesome that Sarah made a point to make a point to these kids that they are welcome here and that everyone is welcome in the state, in the schools, in the public.
Which is why it's worth it for them to put in a little extra time.
It's the right thing to do, 100%. And I will work sun up to sundown to make this happen.
What exactly they're making happen isn't quite yet accountable. Okay, so it could have been 100 shirts. What is it right now?
I don't know.
That's because the orders keep coming in, and not just from the Treasure Valley.
And then all of a sudden you start seeing Seattle's orders come through. You start seeing Utah's. We started seeing Chicago's. Yesterday morning when I came in to start printing all the orders, 95% of them were in other states.
And other countries like Germany, Australia, South Africa.
I'm not surprised at all. No, this hits home. This hits home with everybody.
So Brigade keeps printing with the goal of 10,000 shirts in time for school to start again Monday.
The goal is just to let the world know that right here in Boise, Idaho, we are a very welcoming place to everybody.
They may not know how many they've done, but they do know how much it means.
As a homegrown Emmett kid, and living in this town my entire life, it gives me goosebumps even thinking that this town is doing what it's doing right now. Am I surprised? No. Am I proud? Yes. Where this is gonna go is gonna change not just this city, not just this district, not just this state. It's gonna change this country, what we're doing right now.
Think big, start small. Chris's idea is for anyone who orders a shirt to wear it on Monday the 24th and post a pic on social media with the hashtags "Everyone is welcome," Inclusive Idaho, or West Ada Schools. Students, teachers, parents, grandparents, whomever. And as you heard him say, to let everyone know everyone is welcome in Idaho. There's also a Chalk the Walk event happening at the West Ada School District building. That is this Sunday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. People are asked to show up and spread that message of inclusion with chalk drawings on the sidewalk. By the way, yesterday, Governor Little signed the ban on any flags besides U.S. flags or state flags being displayed in Idaho public schools, meaning schools that would like to celebrate their refugee population and highlight where those students came from will no longer be allowed. Well, the FIS Alpine World Cup is in Sun Valley this year. It's the biggest ski race circuit in the world and a qualifier for the 2026 Milan Winter Olympics. The races are going to be held on the warm spring side of Bald Mountain, and that's where we find Abby Wilt right now, where Sun Valley is welcoming for the World Cup for the first time, Abby, since 1977. Is that true?
That is true. It's the first time since 1977 that Sun Valley has hosted this event, so it's really unique and a really special opportunity. As you can see, they are getting the course fully ready. Saturday is when the races will officially begin, but like you said, we are here at the finish line. So racers are going to come down right behind me here at about 80 to 90 miles per hour. So fans are definitely getting super excited here at Sun Valley. And Sun Valley found out that they were hosting the week-long races last April. They started prepping immediately. The course is fully built from scratch to make it as steep and as long as the International Ski Foundation requires.
It's really hard to put into words the scale of this. So we'll have 5,000 people kind of around the base here. They're going to be cheering at the top of their lungs. The excitement level is so high.
And Michaela Schifrin well on her way right now.
In terms of the athlete, these are the best of the best.
Athletes like Lindsey Vonn, Michaela Schifrin, and Marco Odermatt are all here in the Gem State, and they're expected to headline the races this week. Men and women will be competing in 4 events throughout the week: downhill, Super G, slalom, and giant slalom. And Brian, athletes are going to start training tomorrow. They were actually supposed to start training today on this course. Then we actually got too much snow here in Sun Valley, so they had to postpone all training till tomorrow.
Wait a second. Too much snow means they can't ski on it? Is that how that works?
It's a little weird, I know, but since this is basically like a virtual ice rink behind me, any snow could have ruts and grooves, so they want to make as smooth of a surface as possible for racers. So they're going to train tomorrow and then officially kick off the races on Saturday.
That makes sense. Yeah, they got to pack it down and make it really ice-like. I got it. All right, thank you very much, Abby. We look forward to that coverage over the weekend.
And yes, Sun Valley picked up a couple inches of fresh snow, spring snowfall on this first day of spring. All of our area's ski resorts reporting several inches of fresh powder, and there is more to come. A little bit tonight, another push tomorrow night into Saturday morning. So we kicked off this morning with some precipitation, a few showers starting to roll in now from the west, and with clouds overhead, wouldn't be surprised by a few sprinkles in the Treasure Valley tonight, though we won't see much precipitation. A lot of what you see off to our west is going to fizzle out as it crosses the Cascades, but still we could add several more inches of snowfall above that 5,000 foot mark tonight, and we could have some rain very early tomorrow morning in the Treasure Valley. A rinse and repeat of what we saw this morning. Rain rolled through while we were sleeping. That will likely happen again for your Friday morning. Out there right now, we're in the low 50s for most of the Treasure Valley. Boise not quite there, sitting at 49 degrees, same with Twin Falls. So your evening will stay mostly overcast, mostly dry. Few sprinkles early. We'll likely see a bigger round of precipitation quickly coming in late tonight into early tomorrow morning, and then we dry out for most of your day Friday. Another disturbance rolls in Friday evening into Saturday morning. That means our Saturday may start off with a little bit of rain here in the Treasure Valley, but I think wind quickly becomes the big headline on Saturday, so another windy day. Then finally after that, we kick the wet weather to the curb and we really get to spring. Look at those temperatures, upper 60s by Monday, into the 70s Tuesday and Wednesday.
There's a bit of a new development in the Moscow murders case, and Idaho's bathroom ban is now in full effect. Here's Abby Davis to explain in today's 411.
New court documents in the Moscow murders case say the suspect, Brian Koberger, bought a knife, sheath, and sharpener on Amazon months before 4 University of Idaho students were stabbed to death. Prosecutors say they matched touch DNA to Koberger on the knife sheath, which was found near one of the victims. But the defense argues the motion to allow Koberger's Amazon purchase history shouldn't be allowed. Koberger's trial is set for August in Boise. Idaho's laws saying public school students have to use bathrooms and locker rooms corresponding with their sex at birth is now active. This after a lower court said the same thing, but Rebecca Rowe, a transgender student in an Idaho public school, appealed to the higher court. Today, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals sided with the lower court, saying Idaho's law is enforceable. The most recent WWAMI bill did not make it past the Senate Education Committee today. Instead of opting out of the WWAMI program altogether, like the previous version, House Bill 368 gradually shifts 30 of its 40 seats to a non-WWAMI program over time. WWAMI is a 5-state partnership between Washington, Wyoming, Alaska, Montana, and Idaho, with the University of Washington being the medical school for the 4 states without one. The committee sent the bill back to the 14th order for amendments they think will accomplish a compromise, making almost everyone happy. Semi-good news, one temporary lane is now open for local traffic only on Highway 95 near Council, where part of the road slid away after a storm Sunday. It's official, Dr. Marlene Tromp is leaving Boise State this summer to serve as the president of the University of Vermont. The university will announce the process of finding a successor in the coming weeks. And that's the 411 on the 208. I'm Abby Davis.
All right, let's wrap up this Thursday with some comments from you. Shelley wants to know, how does this work? Bills are passed that do nothing but expedite someone into poverty and homelessness. Then they essentially make it impossible for those like Jody to help them help themselves. I think that's a question mark there. I think that's kind of how it works, according to Shelley. So does everyone is welcome include illegals, gang members, and criminals in general, asks Robert. Come on, man, we're talking about students. We're talking about kids in school. Everyone is welcome. It's the basis of public education. That's what we're talking about. Can't let it go, huh? Teacher thumbed her nose at the rules, and you all are making her a hero. Way to show kids how to just do whatever you want. Do you think Rosa Parks just kind of thumbed her nose at the rules? Or how about Catherine Switzer? Remember the first one to run in the Boston Marathon as a woman? Yeah, I think they thumbed her nose at the rules. Kind of how it works sometimes. My family and I are picking up our shirts tomorrow. Thank goodness for the staff at Brigade. Very special people, says Carol. That's right, I forgot to mention this. There is a mass pickup event because they can't distribute them all. Tomorrow from 4 to 8, then 12 to 7 on Saturday. Go to the outlet malls in Southeast Boise. If you ordered a shirt, you can get it there. We'll see you tomorrow.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app everywhere you stream.